Hey y'all, Rudrani Devi here. Just a little invitation. I have this class coming up. It's a very interesting class. I find that you've got to be kind of brave to choose it, and I'll tell you why. It's called Relationships Done Different. It's a master class, considered a 2.5 day class. Coming up fairly quickly, the end of this month of October. On the 29th, we'll begin at 5:30 to 9:30. And then that's, October 29th. And then Saturday and Sunday, 31st, 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And we'll be tackling all sorts of things that have to do with relationships. So this is what I found out facilitating this class. I've had people that they get in the class and they're afraid that they're going to find out that they need to get out of their relationships, or they need to leave their job, or they have to divorce their family. And what if it was really more about having the tools to navigate relationships in a different way that's very different from what this reality has taught us it should be. What I love about this class, we talk about the 5 elements of intimacy. So you've got trust, vulnerability, allowance, gratitude, and honor. And the piece that I had the hardest part with, to be honest, was the vulnerability piece. After my now ex-husband left me when he told me he was leaving the day of my last surgery on my knee, and I'd been in a wheelchair for off and on for nearly 2 years, was learning how to walk, didn't know if I was going to be fully ambulatory on my own. And he says to me, I didn't sign up for this. If you had died in India, I would have loved you forever. You can imagine how that affected me, I guess is the best way to say it. I didn't expect that. And, I had always thought that relationships were something you were supposed to really work hard at. And I remember saying to him, do you want to do the work? Should we go to a therapist? Because we'd only been once. And it was like literally within a week after getting back from India, he has to get me into this old house where all these therapists were renting different rooms and in a wheelchair. So it was even difficult to get in. One session, and we never went back. And that's kind of the old school way of doing this, right? Hey, if things aren't working out, let's go to a therapist. And you know what? I'm a relationship counselor, so I get it. And then I found this book, Relationships, Do You Really Want One? Written by Simone Milasas and Brendan Watt, who are facilitators in Access Consciousness like myself. And I thought, I love what this book has to say. I love the possibilities of choosing something different. And then there was this vulnerability piece I'm reading, and it changed my world, y'all. It was like, to me, vulnerability meant weakness. So for, I don't know, maybe 2 years after my ex had left, he actually impregnated a coworker's sister. It's a long story, but they started a family, and I am very grateful to her, and I hope she's doing okay with all of it. They have 2 children now. People have a tendency to want to tell me things. I'm like, oh, okay, that's very cool. So he's got a family doing his own thing. And here I was, wow, this man chased me down, wanted to be married to me. I was never going to get married because I kind of didn't trust the whole relationship thing. What did I know? But needless to say, I couldn't show any vulnerability. It was like, I wouldn't even look in a guy's, if I'm walking down the street and I see a man, I would not make eye contact for sure. It'd be like, there's no way. All men suck. That was my point of view. And, your point of view creates your reality. It's not the other way around. Your reality does not create your point of view. I mean, if you want to be cranky pants about what's going on right now with the COVID thing, all the stuff. To me, it's kind of a boring conversation now. I don't even care what your point of view is. But those that really want to buy into the doom and gloom are the ones that are having hypertension and, PTSD, and those that don't, well, they're choosing something different. And that's what this class is about, choosing something different in relationships. And the cool part is, what if you could have a different relationship with yourself? You drag this body around with you all the time. It doesn't go anywhere. You wake up, it's still there. That's a relationship that's going to last forever. So yeah, let me get back to this vulnerability piece. I didn't trust men at all. Every relationship I had been in, and now I'm confessing, the guy had cheated on me, and I thought there was a wrongness in that. In this reality, that's something that's very apparent. I realize now that these are relationships that I would have wanted to stay in. So maybe the universe had my back in those cases, right? But this was the kicker. Here I am in this organization, Access Consciousness. We're a movement. We're in 179 countries, y'all. And the creator and co-creator, founders of Access Consciousness, well, they happen to be men. And they didn't suck, not in my eyes. It was like, that point of view was not going to work for me. So was I going to be willing to be vulnerable? And what is vulnerability? It's, stepping into all of you with no apology. Being willing to be all of you, even if people don't get it, even if you lose everybody. Because what I was doing in my relationships, I was cutting my arms and legs off to fit in to their reality. I remember when my ex would, we didn't have texting back then, but he would email me or leave me a message the day that he wanted to go out, And, I thought I was being a good girl. I made that guy wait, and I would cancel my plans to fit into his invitation. And another thing that I find interesting now when I look back on it, I would always get sick like the very next day. It was as if my body was allergic to him. But did I listen to my body? Was I willing to be vulnerable? So then he leaves, starts a new family. We eventually get divorced, right? And I'm unwilling to trust again, which is another one of the 5 elements of intimacy: trust, vulnerability, allowance, honor, and gratitude. And what I learned from relationships done different is you've got to have those 5 elements of intimacy with yourself. So what was vulnerability going to look like for me? I had to acknowledge that there were a lot of things about myself that I had been judging. My body, I don't know, what I was doing for a living. I would dial it down instead of turning it up when people asked me what I did. Holistic doctor, sure, or a therapist. And I am that, sure, but there's a lot more to it than even that. So happy to say, on the other side of all of it, I'm all of me. And there's kind of a little joke going around now. It's I didn't get it at first. I actually had 2 other certified facilitators fill me in. And it was something that got coined at the last Global Foundation class that I was at. I believe it was in April. And they were like, "Are you Rue ready?" And I just thought it was this cute little thing, hey, are you Rue ready? How cute is that, right? And then when it was explained to me, I realized I'd finally gotten past this vulnerability piece. It was the thing about me is I'll tell you my awareness, and I won't sugarcoat it. I mean, it might be a bit of a wedgie, okay? Just saying. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole with you. I'm going to tell you what my awareness is. And then you've got to decide if it's true for you or not, because I'm not going to tell you to listen to what I'm saying. If it doesn't feel right, it's if it's not light, it's not right. So this was the piece that got me. Hey, Rue, you tell it like it is in your interesting point of view, right? And then you don't actually judge the person. So that does take a lot of courage because we're so used to being a judgeable offense. We're so used to judging ourselves, you know? I mean, I was so excellent at it. I couldn't even be vulnerable with myself. And what if I was actually picking up on all the judgments of everyone around me and misidentifying and misapplying it as mine? What if that's what was going on? I'm sure there was some of that as well. But once I was able to have this vulnerability with myself, I found that when I was able to be that with everyone else, not only was I free, it gave them an opportunity to choose it as well. And quite frankly, when someone's vulnerable with you, don't you find them irresistible? There they are putting it all out, even though they could get judged for it. So the invitation of this class, 29th, 30th, 31st, beginning the evening of the 29th, it's actually an invitation to having a different relationship with you and your body. And what would that look like? So I've got all the information here. If you have more questions, please reach out to me. If you're ready to be all of you, regardless of how it shows up, in anyone and anything that you interact with, that's the invitation. So are you, Rue, ready? And will you join us? And we won't have any fun. I might break into song. Surprised I didn't do it with this whole thing, but I always got my props. If you're ready, I'm ready for you. So thank you so much for listening, especially if you've listened all the way through. God bless you. And until we actually get to connect, ciao, ciao for now.